developed it back in 1966, and they actually cloned it off some other Germans who developed the Mauser. As far as roller blade blowback goes, this is the technology that we'd be integrating into Flux Defense's platform. Flux Defense uses a Browning style action. It's what most handguns utilize. And the sad part is it's really, really compact, but it's designed for a handgun. It's not designed for something to be stocked. The Flux Raider, which is the flagship product, has a lot of recoil, and it could be improved upon. Roller blade blowback has softer recoil impulse, and it supplements mechanical advantage for the recoil springs that are involved, which makes it better for the layperson. I have weak grandparents, and they've always wanted to get into firearms, but they can't even rack some of my handgun slides back because they're just too weak. And this supplements mechanical advantage for them. You can use a really, really light recoil spring and still drop the pressure of the round to a safe level as it reciprocates. And I would say that's our market advantage. No one has integrated roller blade blowback into a platform of our size to date, and that's why I want to develop it. Let's see. As far as our team goes, I start out as the lead engineer. I've had a lot of experience with these firearm systems as working as a machinist and as a firearm salesman. This is Pat. He'll be running our business development, and this is Alex. He'll be operating most of the new machines that we're going to be running if we end up partnering with Flux. As far as our financial pitch goes, we're just asking for $30,000. That's to develop for me and Pat and Alex to collaborate on the design, testing, and evaluation of this firearm platform. As well as developing those drawings and getting ready for manufacturing. That $30,000 will also go to machine tool time, tooling, materials, as well as possibly funding a capstone project with a mechanical engineering degree at the U. And that would bring us more engineers to help collaborate on getting this idea out to market, because time is of the essence. No one has done this before, integrating roller blade blowback into a small, compact firearm. The expected margin of the RMAT is actually quite good. 35 to 40% is what you typically get for a firearm of this price, which is about $1,500 to $2,000. And that's about 2/3 of what the HK MP5 goes for. HK primarily focuses on military contracts. They don't really have time to dilly-dally innovating and trying to figure out new stuff to make, because they're still trying to make the guns that people have been ordering for hundreds of years. That's where we come in. Partnerships with Flux will be critical. If we can use their machine tools, we don't have to spend that money on buying our own machines to make it on ourselves and prototype it. And initial manufacturing relationships have been established, but if I don't have to use one of my late mentors' machine shop currently, we can use the machine shop that's already being integrated to build these pistol caliber carbines, these personal defense weapons. It'll be a better deal in general. Thank you for your time, and that's my pitch.
Is there not a market for like CIA operators, just like bodyguards and like that kind of stuff? I feel like this would be perfect, like a compact PW.
It'd be absolutely perfect.
Did you talk about that? I didn't hear.
I didn't. A lot of it was off the cuff, but yes, that's a huge market. It's funny. I would say that's 90% of what we would be going for. I think we can start out with a small market of people who just want a new gun. There's a lot of people, especially as working in the gun industry. Dude, there are rich guys who buy, guns 10 at a time. It doesn't matter what it is. And as long as there's something new, if that customer walks in and you're behind the counter and you can put them something new in their hands, they'll take it. Yeah. And that would be perfect for initial funding. Because of our margins, we'd be able to sell enough to pay back our initial investment and and to impress our investors, as well as slowly iterate and improve on the product to get them in those hands. That's where we want this ending up. It's kind of interesting. The war scheme is changing as people see videos of what's going on in Ukraine and what's going on in the Middle East nowadays. Drones are becoming extremely useful and effective, and long-range systems are going away. Even the classic AR-15, which people have been putting millions and millions of dollars into development, testing, and production of, they're becoming obsolete because they're too big. And to me, it makes a lot more sense for the modern warfighter to be carrying a backpack of drones and a small personal defense weapon of our design that is just as effective at short range, instead of carrying heavier, bulkier systems, of legacy systems.
What kind of regulations do you have to deal with?
$500 a year, you pay to the government, you get a federal firearms manufacturer's license. You just regulate your serial numbers, you regulate built firearms. There's a lot of weird legal definitions when it comes to firearms in terms of like what actually is the firearm, and that's why fabless manufacturing works for some people if you do it the right way. You would have to assemble in-house because we'd be violating that legal definition unless we had a separate holding company that was assembling them. But in the end, we need to have control over the final assembled part. But the cool thing is as a machinist, it's easy for me to find something that's really easily made by a specialized company, and you can spread those parts out all across the country. Sometimes it adds a little bit to the logistics, but Flux Defense has been doing really, really good at it. And then you're keeping those separated and compartmentalized so that as the final firearm manufacturer, you're the one in control of all the serial numbers, you're the one in control of all of the firearms itself. Kevin?
My mom has I think a P365, and I feel like she's someone who would benefit from this product.
She would.
But one of the things that I know will be a massive barrier is she has custom bags that are already made to fit her firearm, and they have a little bit of room. How would the form factor be able to, how large is it, how bulky is it, and could you adapt to those holsters that you already have?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The P365, depending on what variant, is extremely small. If she has the smallest, the original version, the smallest version of it, it's this big. It's tiny. You can fit that into a Louis V bag that's this big. But our firearm would be hopefully under about 10 inches long. But to be completely honest, in the enthusiast realm, with people who attach lights and optics and extended magazines, that's a really easy target to hit. Sub 10 inches is what Flux Defense has hit, but they're just utilizing the Browning style action. And I believe that I have the know-how to be able to integrate roller delayed blowback into a system that they've already kind of developed as far as stocks and sizes go.
Maybe touch on this. What does the IP, the patent space look like? Or, if someone's already done it, how are you certain you'll be able to get a patent for it?
The only stuff that's patented that I'm interested in integrating is stuff that Flux has used and branded as an incredible feature. One thing they've patented is the speed load system. There's a magazine that's feeding the gun, which is in your grip, and then there's a magazine that's held in front of it. And there's a small button that if you push, both magazines drop, the empty one in your hand and the loaded one in your other hand. And then you can immediately throw that into your magazine well, re-rack the slide, and continue firing. And that's excellent intellectual property. I would love to integrate that into my firearm design, but they own the patent for it. That's why I want to partner with them. Evan?
You talked about this roller delayed blowback. I was wondering, so since that sets you apart from your other consumer or the other, people in the market, why is no one else integrating that into their devices?
Because number one, it's very difficult to design a firearm. And number two, the big guys who have the capability of doing that don't really want to because they're too busy filling military contracts and other orders. The beauty of launching a startup like this and then partnering with a brand that is known for innovation gives us that ability to innovate. Especially with fabless manufacturing. I would say that's the critical, most important part. As a machinist, learning to be a machinist is its own full-time job. I've been in the industry for 5 years, and I know peanuts. I have mentors who have forgotten more than what I'll ever know in the industry. And I'd rather have manufacturers get good at manufacturing, and the research and development people maintain research and development, just like NVIDIA. That's exactly what they do.
So, it seems like your whole plan kind of hinges on using intellectual property from other companies. What are you going to do if they tell you no?
I can actually create the firearm entirely without their intellectual property. It's just extra features that would make it chef's kiss, just a little bit better. I don't need to have the patented speed load system. I don't need to have a spare magazine in front on the handgun. But if I could, it'd make it just a little bit better. And that's what I'm going for.
And can you protect those features from these other companies?
Yes, they already own the patent on it.
Other companies, or you?
Flux does.
But like the features you want in yours, if you can't.
Oh yeah, these designs are in large market utilization, just not at our size, because people haven't come up with ways to get them smaller. Many different companies actually make the same firearm, the MP5K. They run the same tooling, they run the same stampings, they have the same bolt carriers, everything, because it's a firearm from 67 years ago. Because so many people have been making it, people don't really think to utilize that again. One thing that I'll actually add too is there's a lot of companies that have pseudo roller delayed blowback. They've kind of cut around the corner of the mechanical advantage. There's certain very, very technical details that I would say they've missed, and they've done things to try to simulate it, but they're not using true mechanical advantage instead of heavier recoil springs.
Just an overall question about the firearm market, or because I see you're very enthusiastic about it. As someone who's not born or brought up in America, I don't know much about the amendments. The only one I like is the naturalization process. That's my favorite one.
For good reason.
Yes.
We want to hear.
But from the country I am, from the culture I am, it's illegal to own firearms. There are some legal contradictions where you can. But as you're solving a con or a disadvantage for a specific gun, please correct me if I'm saying it wrong, wouldn't it backfire in an increase in shootings around the country?
I think that's a political discussion. I think there's a lot of things that could be said, but to be fair, I do disagree. I think, yeah, I'll kind of end it there. I think that's more of a political discussion than actually related to the firearm.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Thank you guys.